It's another lovely weekend on TVC's YouTube channel as I welcome you to Issues with Jide. The week began on a refreshing note when some of the kidnapped students from the Bethel Baptist High School, Damishi, Kaduna, were released by the bandits who abducted them. But at what cost? Away from that, the resumption of the trial of IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu was marked by tension, a heavy presence of security detail, and disagreement among court officials over the denial of access into the courtroom. Away from that also, the arrest of Yoruba Nation activist Sunday Igboho a fortnight ago was still generating reactions at the beginning of the week, as on the one hand, Yoruba traditional rulers in Benin Republic on Sunday resolved to write the country's president, Patrice Talon, in a bid to resolve matters arising from his arrest, while his lawyer, Ibrahim Salami, in an interview with the international media, said Nigeria has no legal means to extradite the activist. This is one big story that still has many Nigerians, home and abroad, talking. Igboho was arrested by security operatives at an airport in Cotonou, Benin Republic, alongside his wife, Rokpo, while trying to catch a flight to Germany. This still has us talking on Issues with Jide, and we'll examine all sides to this developing story as our first topic. We'll also touch on the Kaduna state government's resolve to file fresh charges, or rather it has filed fresh charges against leader of the Islamic movement of Nigeria, El-Zakzaky, as we also look at that story that has made the Nigerian social media space abuzz, the role of DCP Abba Kyari in the 1 million naira scam allegedly perpetrated by Instagram influencer Hush Puppy. So let's start off. But first of all, we'll take a customary break and we'll bring in BKO. Stay with us. Thank you for finding time to join us on Issues with Jide this weekend. BKO, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Without much ado, Igboho's lawyer says Nigeria has no legal means to extradite the Yoruba Nation activists. What are your thoughts on this?
I think what basically it meant was the fact that the extradition agreement entered into between Nigeria and its West Coast neighbors forbids the extradition of anyone wanted in his home country who is a politically exposed person, someone who is deemed to be facing persecution or is about to be punished for his political views. It is up to Igboho's lawyers to argue before the judge that Igboho's offense, in inverted commas, for which he is wanted by the Nigerian authorities, is political in nature. If he was accused of murder, armed robbery, kidnapping, and related crimes, it's not going to be difficult to have him extradited to Nigeria. But what the lawyers are saying, both lawyers here in Nigeria and Igboho's lawyers in Benin Republic, is that he is a politically exposed person. His sins are deemed to be political in nature, and the Nigerian authorities are persecuting him. They seek to punish him for the political views that he holds.
So BKO,
the way they push that argument, how successful they push the argument will determine whether indeed it will be handed over to Nigerian authorities. For now, he didn't jump bail in our country. Charges have not been filed against him officially. The authorities in Benin do not even have an idea of the offense that he committed. So they are waiting for make these offenses known to them. So this is the lawyers are convinced that is politically exposed persons being persecuted for political reasons, and that by seeking a Yoruba nation, his mission is political in nature. So this is their argument. Whether the argument will convince the judge handling the matter is a different ball game. But we are watching developments. We'll see what happens when they bring him to court once again.
Okay, I would have loved to ask whether you agree that Igboho is a prisoner of conscience, but I don't want to put you on the spot.
No, it's not a prisoner yet. The politically exposed person.
Yeah.
It's not a prisoner
okay,
yet. He's been detained. He never jumped bail.
Yeah, yeah.
Never
if he's a political person of conscience or person of conscience or suspect, yes, as the case may be. I'll leave that to our viewers to ask. Let's move on, Bishop. Don't worry, let's move on. Let's go to whether he has support or not at home, which is where I'd like to bring in the governors of the Southwest who held a meeting just before Sunday Igboho's arrest, an emergency meeting over current national issues. What would you consider to have been their position at the time? There are speculations on whether, as a result of that emergency meeting, about the planned arrest of Igboho, and perhaps that they were in support and decided to afterwards hold a neutral position towards it.
The Southwest government especially do not want to touch the raw nerves of their people by being seen to be openly against Sunday Igboho. Sunday Igboho's methods are not popular with everyone. He offended many people by abusing traditional rulers, or abusing political leaders, even in the Southwest, and by even appearing to mock Baba Adeboye, the general overseer of the RCCG, after he lost his son. For that, he lost a lot of the people who used to back him. But people still have sympathy for him because he brought this whole thing against on himself when he decided that the harassment of Yoruba people in Igboho, the residents of Igboho and other parts of Ibarapa land, by criminal headsmen had to stop. And he physically went to the place to try to eject headsmen who were accused of kidnapping people for ransom, accused of violating people's farms, destroying people's farms. So a lot of people still have this sympathy for him, that he started off by taking steps to solve a problem that the government couldn't solve. The government saw people being kidnapped in Oyo State's main food belt, but they didn't do anything concrete about it to put an end to the harassment of people, to kidnapping of people, to the raping of people's wives by criminal headsmen. A lot of them who are not even Nigerians. They came from outside of our country to harass our people, bring our people to their knees. So the fact that he took it upon himself to attempt to bring an end to that is one reason Sunday Igboho still has a lot of support amongst the ordinary Southwest people. So the Southwest governors are being very sensible by not appearing to attack Sunday Igboho publicly, because to do that will hurt a lot of their own subjects, a lot of their people. So they are being careful not to do that, because they understand why he started this agitation in the first place. But he took the agitation too far by calling for the dismemberment of Nigeria. That is where he lost a lot of support. I, for one, will want an end to killings by criminal headsmen. But I would not want a situation in which you simply say all every Fulani in Yoruba land should leave. I would not also want to see, because not all of them are criminals. To imagine that all of them are criminals is to be dishonest. There are peace-loving people who had lived in Yoruba land for so long, 3 generations. They have nowhere else to go, even if you were to chase them away. Now, you do not say everyone should leave. It is the criminals that we do not want to see amongst us. Every tribe has its bad eggs. Every tribe has its black legs. But to see a particular tribe as dominated by criminals is not what many Nigerians are happy to hear anyone say. Now, by now adding the issue of Yoruba nation to it's like he lost focus. He should have focused on what he set out to do in the first place. But in spite of that, as I said earlier, many people still retain some level, in spite of his misdemeanors, in spite of the ugly things that I said about people, including the Oni of Ife. People still retain some level of sympathy for him because of the way he started, because of the battle that he took upon himself in the beginning.
Now, BK,
so for this reason, you had the governor of Lagos State saying that some people were working behind the scenes to try to help him come out of the mess that he has
found himself in. BK, are you still, yeah? Okay, bit of a network challenge now, but it appears to have sorted itself out.
I hear you. Just ask your question.
Yes, BK, apart from his unguarded utterances, let's look at the weapons found in his home by the intelligence service. Does this cast a negative light on his agitation?
Going by his antecedents, it is not completely strange that they found some weapons in his house. He had always been a warrior. He's been involved in political thuggery. He's been involved in smuggling, you know. So at some point he will acquire weapons, you know, by which he will terrorize his opponents. He was also involved in the war between Ife and Modakeke. He fought on the side of Modakeke at that time because I think his mom is from Modakeke. So it's not a surprise that they found weapons in his house, but whether those weapons are enough to start a war, or whether those weapons are enough to levy war against our country or bring our country to its knees, is a question that any sane human being can readily answer. And I do not think that it also makes sense for the DSS and other security agencies that have assisted it in the raiding of Sunday Igboho's home to go to the extent that they went, killing two of his aides, destroying his vehicles and all that. You don't have to lose all sense of discipline in the attempt to bring someone to justice. They could still have achieved their aim without necessarily spilling blood and without necessarily destroying precious property that they found within the precincts of his home. So some of these issues are capable of even earning sympathy for him, both in Nigeria and beyond. All that people need to just have a look at is the video of the raid on his house, and to see the despicable extent that our secret police went just to prove a point.
All right, let's quickly ask our viewers to remember to send their questions. We'll have some time for your questions towards the end of the program. Let's now move away from Igboho as we travel down to Kaduna, virtually now, not physically. The Kaduna state government is filing fresh charges against the leader of the IMN, El-Zakzaky. Where does this take the trial, BQ?
If they were not sure that they will lose at the level of appeal, what is the point in filing fresh charges? After detaining a man for all these years, you've destroyed all his houses, destroyed his worship centers, and you lost the case in court. In fact, to my shock, his no case submission succeeded. Because I thought they had a cast iron case against him. But his no case submission succeeded. That's to tell you that the prosecution didn't do a particularly good work. So they knew that at the level of appeal, they will still lose, because you cannot advance or present fresh witnesses and fresh evidence that you did not lay before the lower court, at the Court of Appeal or at the Supreme Court. They knew that the superior courts will look at evidence adduced at the lower courts to determine whether an appeal will succeed. So they can see clearly that if they appealed, that they could still lose the case. That's why they are thinking of filing fresh charges. I think that El-Zakzaky had suffered enough. If you accused him of culpable homicide, you should be able to prove it. And if you could not prove it, to the point that his no case submission succeeded, and it says a lot about the quality of prosecution in respect of his case. So my advice is for the Kaduna State government to leave the old man and his wife alone and let them live their lives. Let them take back their lives and live happily for the number of years that they have left. He is a man who has lost his children, lost nearly everything except his life. So how much longer can you continue to file charges and seeking to put somebody in the slammer indefinitely? I think this whole thing is unnecessary. The old man has been through a lot, and they should allow him to enjoy the freedom that the courts just gave him.
We hope there will be space and time for consideration of that genuine appeal. So before we take the questions that have begun to come in, let's also look at Abba Kyari, who has been declared wanted for his alleged role in the $1 million scam allegedly perpetrated by a hush puppy.
At the panel of inquiry that the government set up, the Nigerian Army was indicted because in the dead of night, the Nigerian Army came, killed dozens of members of El-Zakzaky's religious sect
El-Zakzaky now,
and buried them in shallow graves. There was a testimony by a Kaduna state government official who was part of those who buried those people. But at the end of the day, the panel of inquiry recommended the trial of soldiers who were involved in the massacre of children, women, and other people who were at the El-Zakzaky Center in Zaria. They recommended their trial. But in the white paper that the government produced, that was removed. It was removed. That recommendation was removed, and the government proceeded to put El-Zakzaky and others on trial. So I still believe that this matter, this matter should not just be laid to rest permanently. The old man has suffered enough. I can't imagine that fresh charges will be filed in respect of his case.
You know, Nigerian political watchers say that cases are won at the investigation level. So the prosecution and trial also leaves a huge question mark on the ability or competence of security operatives to carry out their investigation. Let's go to Hush Puppy and Abba Kyari. Some believe that in spite of the overwhelming evidence being released at the ongoing trial in the US, that Abba Kyari remains innocent. Where are you in all of this, BKO?
I can barely hear you on this last question, but
okay.
I want to believe that the FBI must have taken its time to do a thorough job of investigating this particular matter. it has even gone beyond the FBI investigation. The evidence had been laid before a judge because the Attorney General of the U.S. has taken over the case. What is left now is for our Super Cop, Abba Kyari, to affirm his innocence, effectively defending himself allegations. I don't think that media to explain himself. He has to the allegations one by one. And Americans are insisting that the Nigerian government should hand him. I think that the first thing to do, tell Abba Kyari to step aside, that his matter can be investigated thoroughly by Nigeria. Then, if the Nigerian authorities find it necessary, then they have no choice but to hand in to the FBI. No man is above the law. Nigeria, and especially and the FBI, they've cooperated with in the very recent past. If we do the Abba Kyari matter the right way, Nigeria's reputation, and even our president, who is seen a champion against corruption, his image will be soiled. He will be seen who winks at corruption. Nigeria will be seen as a country that is no better than an enlightened the right way.
Are you there?
In the and in the interest of the image. Once on their own internal checks, they've got to do the needful.
Okay, it appears as if we're having issues with the network, and we hope that it will be better as we begin to take your questions for BKO. Mark Oyide is asking, why is it so difficult for the president to approve state policing, which is obviously the solution to our nation's woes?
I can't hear you.
Mark is asking why it is difficult for President Buhari to approve state policing.
I can't hear you.
I'll take that again. Why is it difficult for President Buhari to approve state policing?
Okay.
Okay, one last time, and I'll be deliberate with it. Mark is asking you, why is it difficult for the president to approve state policing? Hello, BKO. Mark's question is about state policing.
Okay.
Hello. Hello. Mark's question is about state policing. It appears as if the network issues are a bit difficult at this time, but we have had sufficient time to thrash most of the issues that we've brought to the fore today on the program. So we'll just have to be satisfied with the opportunity that we've been able to take advantage of. So we thank you very much at this time. I apologize, Abiola Olaiwola. I won't be able to take your question because of the network issues that we're having. We hope that the weather on the airwaves is clement next week when we bring you another edition of the program, Issues with Jide. Thank you very much, Mark Oyide, for your question. Abiola Olaiwola, thank you. And to other viewers who hung out with us today on Issues with Jide. Don't forget, before you exit your YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button. Yes, subscribe and watch other editions of Issues with Jide. And make sure you join us again same time next week. Of course, you can also follow us if you're not already following us on our social media platforms at TVC News NG. Thank you for watching. I am Bukola Samuel Wemimo. Bye for now.